Hey, this is the Ken Ralston, Steven Rosenbaum show of Effects Geekdom. We're going to talk to you today about how we did some of the effect shots on Contact, the motion picture. Here's a scene coming up describing the environment at Hokkaido Island. It's first a ship that Ken Ralston went out and shot on a helicopter of a freighter off of Long Beach in California. We used just the wake of the ship and the water, and then we replaced the entire ship and added in the surrounding environment. Okay, so we started with a plate that was shot of a freighter off the coast of Long Beach in California. Just a plain helicopter moving around a freighter ship. This established the scale of the ship, how it moves through the water, the wake splashing off the ship. And then our objective was to replace most of the ship with the fake ship that we would establish in Hokkaido Island as a command ship for the scene. We started by taking the background plate and digitizing it, bringing it into the computer, and then matching the camera motion from the helicopter move. We would bring it into a software package called Softimage, and then create some dummy 3D objects, which you're seeing here as sort of patchwork, and actually track the motion of the camera. We then had to paint out most of the ship. Since we were replacing it, we were only interested in the water. And then we would create a 3D CG ship and paste it over that. So we had to fabricate some of the water that was behind the ship, as seen here. We then did some procedural matte extractions, pulling out the wake from the ship so that we could place it over the CG ship when we inserted that into the shot.
It's very lovely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. This represents the almost finished work of the command ship. It was generated in a computer as a three-dimensional model, and then parts of it were animated. You notice antenna moving around, and then we took it into a paint package, Alias Studio Paint, and actually painted on the 3D geometry. Created texture and including stains and subtle details that you would see on a normal ship. We had several passes that we had to generate to put the ship into the scene, which was sort of a late afternoon, early evening, rainy type of environment. So we had to create lights, as seen here. We had to create some background ships. Again, these were just 3D models that were rendered, and then the camera motion was applied to them. We had to generate such subtleties as the background ship's wakes, how they move through the water. There's many layers that go into creating this kind of composite. Besides the 3D ships, there was rain that had to be done in several layers: near rain, mid-ground rain, distant rain, as well as creating the background way off in the distance.
This is the motion control Harrier jet, which was about a 5 or 6 foot long model shot against blue screen, lined up to the CG ship that we were creating, so it would look as if it was landing on top of the landing area on the CG ship. So we have several different passes on this also to help us composite it into the shot.
That's a matte pass.
This was basically, I think, a soft lighting pass in case we needed it to change the lighting as it flew away from us. That's the element for the heat distortion effect, and this is when it lands. This was an element for when it hits the top of the ship. These are our blue screen guys who are wandering around the different areas of the ship, and so they were reduced down to lot and put around the landing area. They're very subtle, but they're down there.
It helps tie realism into the scene when you have extra motion happening on a completely fabricated shot.
There they are, those little buggers. Can barely see them, but they're there. That adds just a little bit of subtle realism.
And again, these are all tracked with the original camera tracking motion that's done at first. And then we shot separate rain elements, near rain, mid rain, distant rain. This is just out off the camera department parking lot with the wall painted black.
We shot miles of that.
And then placing the elements into the scene, putting the 3D ship with the wake over it, laying rain over it, adding lights to the ship, adding the men walking around, putting the Harrier in, the exhaust blowing off of the Harrier with it interacting, blowing the rain. As the Harrier lands, you'll see it blows up some rain and exhaust off of the deck.
And that was the final composite.
Two of the supervisors on the shot, on this shot, Jerome Chen and Ken Han, hence the Han Chen Maru sign, decided to have a little fun with this.
This was the Busby Berkeley version of this shot, the people diving into the ocean.
There's a lot of detail work that goes unnoticed. There was a lot of preliminary artwork done for the ship design and the whole concept of how this introductory establishing shot for the scene would work. The model shop generating a Harrier, and then the 3D artist generating all the elements that were needed to create this composite.